time for our Business Insight. When we cast our ballots Tuesday, does our choice for president really make a difference when it comes to business? Claims about health care costs, new job creation, and incentives for small business all sound very important, but can the president really make an impact on these areas? Well, this morning, Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer is joined by a well-known political watcher in our area. Xavier University political scientist Gene Beaupre has been analyzing local and national elections for decades. He joins us now with his always insightful and informed perspective. Gene and Rob?
Brian, thank you, and Gene, thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
Healthcare, obviously, which is what we wrote about on our cover this week,
right.
Huge issue, but it's really only one piece of the puzzle. If you run a business, or if you want to run a business, and you're just trying to figure out who to vote for on Tuesday, what do you do? Where do you go?
Right. Well, I think you're right about the health care issue. I mean, the way it's being bannered back and forth in the presidential campaigns and elsewhere makes it sound like whoever's going to take office can flip a switch. And, you know, Washington is filled with the House of Representatives and the Senate and the presidency, so there's all of that. I think it's useful for businesses at any level, for professional people at any level, to try and decide which candidate would be more business friendly or more friendly to whatever their business is. And I suspect the challenge in that is to find the source to do that. My recommendation would be to look at professional associations that they might belong to. It could be the Chamber of Commerce, it could be any number of things. A lot of these organizations, the professional organizations, have given money to candidates, so that, you know, they've got some skin in the game, if you will. And so, you know, they should produce, you know, newsletters and things like that that are accessible to, you know, the people they represent.
And these groups obviously have spent a lot of time and energy researching the candidates and really not only try to influence them, but just really try to get in there and figure out exactly where they stand.
And Rob, I think that's the key. It's not what's in the newspaper. It's you know, they sat in the lobby of the office of so-and-so, and, you know, they listened to the talk, or they had a meeting with him or her. You know, that's the level of insight that goes in, even implicitly, into what they write.
Do you think that the average voter, and let's say for our purposes here, people who are running businesses, do you think they're more engaged in the political process, at least in presidential elections now, than they have in the past, or does it just seem that way?
I think one of the variables is the frustration factor. And this presidential campaign, all the campaigns this year, I think, have created a lot of frustration. But, you know, my sense of it is you can't not be anymore. There are too many things that are happening that can influence you. And I know I worked a lot with small businesses in the past, very independent people, and they'd like to just think of themselves as an island, you know, and you know, they're entrepreneurs. But, you know, there's so many forces locally and state level and federal level that they really need to be paying attention to.
And I wanted to talk a bit, this is a tiny bit off topic, but you obviously teach. You teach at Xavier. Political science. What are your students, how do your students feel about what's happening right now? Not just because we have a presidential election, but because Ohio seems to be the only state that matters to a lot of people.
No, it's very exciting. I actually teach campaign politics, and I have a team of students working for each of the presidential campaigns and some down-ticket campaigns, which, by the way, don't forget about going down the ballot. And I couldn't have made it up. I couldn't have made it better. You know, it may very well be. We're all down at the Board of Elections on election night, and they have learned both how to do it over the course of this semester and all the variables, all the uncontrollable things. They go into a campaign and they think it ought to be like Procter & Gamble or Fifth Third and everything's going to be well organized, and that's not the way campaigns are. So they really get an education, and election night they'll be up later than I will.
And how late is that? I mean, if this is a close election, do you guys stick it out, or do you at some point?
Oh, no, we're there till the bitter end. I mean, especially because it may be very close. I mean, it could be a percentage point, or it could be 5 percentage points. I don't know, but we'll be there I mean, I can't bring these kids all this way and then not be there when the final gun goes off. And
do you have any feeling as to whether this might go long, in other words, past Election Day?
Well, I mean, theoretically, it could go well past Election Day with provisional ballots. You know, that it'll depend on the margin of victory and whether the margin of victory is greater than the provisional ballots that are out. But even on election night, with this campaign, it's going to be very hard to know early on.
Right. Well, hey, Gene, have a good time Tuesday night. Hopefully it won't be that late.
Right.
And thanks for being here.
My pleasure.